Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live. This is I'm Katrina. This is Sow and Tare live chat every Monday night at 6 p.m. and 6 p.m. Pacific time. And I want to welcome everybody. So welcome. If you have not been here before, basically how I structure this is I go through the chats. We talk about what you guys want to talk about. If we're talking about something and you want to talk about something else, go ahead and put it in the comments and we'll get to that topic and we'll pick it up and talk about it. And then somewhere in the middle, I have a topic of discussion that's planned and we'll talk about that for a while. And then we'll go back to the comments. So I appreciate you guys being here. Hoping you can hear me. And please remember to, I just saw a comment. Please remember to keep your comments family friendly. All right, here we go. I got to go up to the beginning because you guys were all here before me. Dawn was first. All right. Good evening, everyone. I already hit the like button. Welcome, Dawn. Steve's here, S.O. Swanson. Good evening, Dawn. Have you been cooking something good? Ooh, I want to know. What have you been cooking? And how did it get to be Monday already? Dawn says she cooked scratch pizza. Oh my gosh. Even the sauce is from scratch. That is so awesome. So very awesome. I have a recipe that I got from a friend a long time ago because I was making the only recipe I had for pizza dough and it was not great. And they gave me a recipe out of one of their cookbooks. I don't even know what cookbook it is. It's just a copied photocopy and it's really good. So I'm glad you're making pizza from scratch. That's awesome. Has anybody made cooking pizza from scratch? That is a great sentence. I've made pizza from scratch. We'll see if Steve says he doesn't cook much these days. Probably once a month. Too many cooks here. Oh, okay. So you other people are cooking. Got it. Can't make pizza, that's for sure. As it's very expensive with all the toppings to satisfy everyone. Your pizzas are nearly 2 inches thick. That's the thing about pizzas. When you make them yourself, you can make small pizzas and everybody can have one. You can make big pizzas and put whatever you want in whatever order you want. And people can have, half a pizza or 2 slices or whatever. So that's good. Good. But that's a tall pizza if it's a couple inches thick. A lot of people to please. Yep. Dawn says was going to be cooking each day this week for the freezer. Awesome. Like I froze 4 dinners off of pizza tonight, but hubby threw an appointment into Wednesday that I have to do with no notice. Yeah. So I know Dawn's been making quite a few freezer prep meals. And weren't you the one that did like the breakfast sandwiches in the freezer? I think that's a really great idea. Those that don't know, freezer meals are good, but a lot of the people here have quail, and quail eggs is something that you can have a glut of sometimes. And so like when we had a lot before my permit to sell renewed, because it took 4 weeks to renew, we made a bunch of French toast, which we are still eating. So we made a bunch of French toast, put it in the freezer, and it's pretty cool because all you do is you put them in the toaster, toast it up, and it's French toast. Super quick. Yeah. Dawn has quail poop on her coat. Oh boy. Yeah, you do need to wash it. Steve says you don't like a challenge. Bet you rise to it quite successfully. Oh, okay. That you don't like a challenge, but you do well. That's what he's saying. Dawn says, I will definitely rise to it, but other things will go undone. It was 60 today, and if I would have known, I could have washed it. I can think tomorrow. You want to hang dry it? Yeah, hang dry it without it getting frozen. Yeah. Hey, Vase Place is here. Vase Place is Verna. She is my moderator. She catches all the bad guys. And welcome. Welcome. Good evening, everyone. Oh, you are fourth tonight, huh? Or fourth like tonight. Welcome, Verna. Dawn's gonna go get tea. All right. And hey, Aaron's here. Good evening, everyone. Looks like I'm late. You're not late, Aaron. You're not late. I think you were here before I was. Welcome. And thank you for your comment. Aaron is going to get me some seeds for the Creole tomato so I can plant them next year. So thank you. We'll try those next year. All right. Oh yes, Dawn says I'm not on. Vay's Place says thumbs up. Those that have not hit it yet, thank you, Vay. And apparently you guys were talking Saturday. I have not watched your live from Saturday yet, Verna. I'm sorry. This weekend was so busy. Oh yeah, Vay's Place. She's my moderator, and she also has a live on Saturday morning and Wednesday midday. So check her channel out as well. S.O. Swanson says, you're never late, Aaron, as long as you are here. Yep, it's okay. You're not late. Hey, Buster's here. Welcome. You got 107 jumbo wilds out of 180. That's awesome. What kind of incubator were you using for that? Good job. And that we're talking about quail there. Vay's Place says only time you are late is if she is signing off and you don't see any of it. Hopefully that doesn't happen. All right, you got the thumbs up covered. All right. And Verna's saying wonderful, Buster, to your hatch rate. And you guys just jumped. Hang on. Everybody saying hi. Oh, this is what I saw when I was laughing earlier. Kelly's here. Their connections. Welcome. She says, I have so many questions for you. Ask away, Kelly. Ask away. I asked you questions. You asked me questions too. Oh, so Steve has a question for Buster. Triple digits, but is the hatch over? So what days did you go through with your hatch? By the way, you guys have birdies hatching below you right now. I actually don't know how many are in there right now. But I woke up to 2 little baby quail, and they've just been hatching throughout the day. So we'll let them hatch through tomorrow and then take them out, and we'll have little baby quail. Now, some of them are going to be for reptile feeders. So some of them are going to be culled early. Some of them are going to go to a home to be pets. And I don't know when they're going to come by, probably the weekend. But when they're young, because they want to bond with them. The kids want to bond with them. So, and then some, when they get older, are also going to be reptile feeders. So this is my tester batch. Yeah. 59%. Vay's Place says for Buster. No more hatch today. What day was today, Buster? Vay's Place says, Katrina, I have everything ready for tomorrow's processing. Awesome. Good luck. Yes, it's a lot of work. Yes. Dawn says, I've had to make it from scratch for 15 years or more. Yeah, pizza from scratch is great as long as you have a good dough recipe, because the recipe that I was using for years, and I was like, I don't really want to make pizza because my dough sucks. And I don't know why I didn't reach out to people, but I mean, it's been years and years now since I did that. Like, I don't know, it's probably been 20 years since I've had this new recipe. But yeah, if there's a recipe and you want to make it and it's like not the greatest recipe, just reach out to people and say, hey, what's your favorite? And people will give you the recipes or share somebody else's recipe. Make good pizza. So it sounds like you've been doing it for 15 years. It's good. All right. Kelly has a question. Nasturtium. I have some outside. I have had major issues getting it to start from seed. Tips. I want it to grow everywhere. It is so great and pretty. Yeah, so nasturtium grows best in my yard, nasturtium grows best when it wants to. um, it self-seeds, and that's the best way it does it. But what you want to do is you want to have it in a place that is not too hot. And you're in Utah. I don't know what part of Utah you are in, if you're in the deserty or if you're up in the mountains. But it might be that it's not getting enough moisture. So that would be one thing. And to keep it moist, because like where it does best in my yard is really in partial shade. So there's my tips for that. It likes to start in things like bark chips. My bark chip pathway, it starts in there a lot. So if you have maybe some kind of rougher compost that hasn't broken down all the way, that still has some solids, it might need that extra drainage that goes through. That's just me talking, but yeah, that's my suggestion. More of it. The ones that I planted for my flower planting video, they came up. Almost all of them came up, and I do need to plant more on my trellises in the front because I want to have the really long trailing ones on the. I have arch trellis as you come into the house, so yeah. And then they do not do well with, like if it freezes, like where I have them, it's more protected. It's kind of, and the trees are hanging over. So if it freezes, then that is okay. Well, if it doesn't freeze in the area where like it's protected, then that's better. But you might have to throw something over it if you have them in a more exposed area. I hope that makes sense. My neighbor has grown them in the window boxes too, so that's fine. But they do need kind of a little bit more shady area, or part sun, part shade. Vase Play says, Dawn, did you make the English muffins from scratch? I have wanted to make English muffins from scratch for so long, and I haven't done it. Dawn says, I have to eat paleo for me, so I batch cook big batches for my homemade TV dinners all month. Yeah, that's good. Hey, Gidrose is here. Hi, Christina. Welcome. Kelly, make sure you scratch the seed coat before planting. I haven't had to do that for nasturtiums. In fact, I didn't even really have to soak it. But yeah, you can do that. Some plants require that. Some of the times they do better. I haven't found that to be a necessity for nasturtium. But even if you wanted to just like take a piece of sandpaper and just like go like that, that might help. You can start them in like paper towel, like damp paper towel as well. So there might be some varieties that need that. I haven't experienced that need though. So yeah, try it. Hey, Rose is here. Welcome, Rose. What happened to Zach? So you're talking about Zach from My Shire Farm. He was watching the Super Bowl. I texted him. I'm like, are you okay? He was watching the Super Bowl. I know he's been busy, so it sounds like he's okay. So that's what I know and can pass along. That he's been really busy and he watched the Super Bowl. But welcome. Gidros is saying hi, Verna. Dawn says no because I have to use gluten-free flours. Yeah, I have not cooked at all with gluten-free flour. That's not true. I did, but it didn't turn out well. But I don't have to. So, yeah, if you have tips for people, Dawn, if you have tips for people for cooking with gluten-free flour, put them in the chat because I know that there's, people appreciate that as well. Be a community here. Learn from everybody. And you guys just skipped. Let's see. Oh my gosh, you guys skipped. You're talking too much. Hang on, let me get you. Okay, back up to the beginning. Sorry, guys. I lost you. All right. Okay, we're talking about Super Bowl. Dawn says, I thought the quail poop was chili I spilled until I realized I don't eat in my coat. I'm glad it wasn't that you tasted it, because that would be nasty. Oh boy. Hey, Diana Top Farms is here. Hey all. Welcome, Diana. Base Place says, don't ever be sorry for missing something. You have more important things to do. Well, I think that supporting each other is a good thing, but yeah, sometimes you got to do things. Got a lot to do. Yeah. Kelly says, asking Gidros. Oh, okay. You're going to try that for how much scratching are we talking? I've never heard that before. Yeah. So Kelly, it's called scarification, and there's seeds that need different kinds of scarification. Some of it is going through a digestive tract of basically what it is it's to get the coating from the seed coat to kind of break it so that, the water can get in and it can germinate out. And so how that happens naturally is it will either be ingested by a animal, and it goes through that digestive system, goes through that acid, and then that will break the seed coat, and then it'll come out the other end, have some nice little fertilizer with it. That's one way that happens naturally. Another way that it happens naturally is by fire. So if a fire goes over an area, it will affect the heat, the seed coat with that. And then how we do it is you can, you could also do this like freezing or refrigerator, that kind of stuff as well. That's more if it needs stratification. But I would just use a piece of, if you want to try it maybe both ways and let us know which works for you. But I've heard with things like lupin, you just take some sandpaper and then rub it on the seed. And you don't have to like rub it flat. It just needs a little bit of scarification. It just needs to have a little bit of scratches to get through. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. Let's see. That's disgusting chili, Steve says. Yeah, I agree. All right, you guys are talking. Gidro says, Kelly, I just rubbed them on the nearest rock or hard surface for a second. You'll see the seed coat come off a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, I've never done that for nasturtium. But it's worth trying. And Vase Place is talking about QuailCon 2023 for Dawn. That's in September. All right. Steve says, I let 100 eggs fall into my incubator. Success will be forthcoming. Oh boy. Well, I have 98 eggs or birds, because some of them are birds already, in the incubator below you guys. And 2 of them I took out, one because it had cracked and was a little stinky, and it had leaked onto the one next door to it. And luckily I got it out and into the trash can outside before anything nasty happened inside the incubator. So we'll see what happened. Hopefully, enough are hatching that I know that it didn't affect too many, but I did do that. Yeah. Several boys for replacement roos. All the rest have a golden ticket for freezer camp. That's what Swan said. So you're looking for roos. Yeah, I just sent our replacement roos into the jumbo aviary, the raviary, and I actually couldn't find one of my males that I had like banded them. Couldn't find him when I was processing everybody else. Yeah, I saw him the other day. He's still in there. He just has a stay of execution. So I'll get them out when I put more males in than I needed to, just to assess their behaviors and their kind of attitudes, and then I can pull some of them out, process them, and then save the good ones. Yeah. And Rose already answered that. That's a long way off still, Don. Buster says, I have a GQF 1202 Sportsman. Very good. I have a Hovabator, so it's much smaller. Kelly says, okay, tips on other herbs to get to sprout. I went cray at the Home Depot in the seed section today. Got lemon balm, echinacea, German chamomile, and calendula. I have not sprouted many herbs. I have mostly bought herbs that are started. I do have herb seeds that I will be starting. There's a lot of them that you want to only surface sow, and like I believe chamomile, I think, is one that you just basically put on the surface, pat it in, and then go from there. What you do want, and that's true with a lot of herb seeds, because what happens in nature is it just drops the seed, and then maybe the wind will blow a little bit of dirt over, maybe it won't, but as long as it has that seed, that contact, what I would do is I would get one of those pumps, the spray pumps that has like a little mist, and water that initially. If you got a seed starting kit, hopefully you got something that you can put a humidity dome on. If you don't have that, you can put a plastic bag over it with toothpicks sticking up so that it doesn't touch the soil, and put that on there until most or all of the seeds have germinated. And once it's germinated, you shouldn't need that for very much longer. You don't want to keep it on there too long, because it could make your soil mold. So that's the two tips I would say, is that one, read the back of the packet, and if it says to do anything specific, do that. But most of them are going to be surface sown and pat it in, or just kind of rake your fingers over the soil a little bit, and it's going to be very, very shallow. Most seeds is not that deep, right? I mean, half as deep as the seed is wide, and but for some of the herb seeds, it needs to be on the top. And then so that, and then keeping it humid while it is germinating. So those are my tips. I haven't done a whole lot of that from seed. Echinacea I've done, but I just planted it very, very underneath the surface, and I think I just lucked out on the season because it rained. So I think it just kept itself humid enough. Yeah, calendula needs bare ground. I know that. That has reseeded in my yard, and it does need bare ground. So if you have like wood chips and stuff, you need to move that aside if you're doing it in the ground, and do it in bare ground. If you're not doing it in ground, you can just start it in the starting trays. Yeah, good questions. Yeah, Sunday was Super Bowl Sunday. Yeah. You guys jumped. Dawn says, Katrina, I got a killer dough recipe. I've not tried it for thick crust, though. I can give it to you. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I have a good recipe now, but all different recipes are welcome. All different recipes are welcome, for sure. Yeah, and good pizza is really good, right? Especially homegrown, with you can put everything on it. I've actually made pizza crust where I put the seasonings, like I have hot and spicy oregano and thyme and all those seasonings. I actually put that into the dough, and it makes for a really nice, the pizza crust. Well, the whole dough, but it makes for a really nice pizza crust. It's really good. Today was 20th day. Okay, you should be good. Some people go 1 or 2 days longer, but like that's pretty good. The hatch is probably done. I mean, if your temperature was on point, then it's probably done, or you can go like one more day, but it's probably done. So it's a good hatch. More than 50%. It's good. Baseplay says, Kelly, if you want to plant lemon balm, you will never have to plant it again. It always returns. So that's true where you live, Verna. It's maybe not quite as true where she lives, because I know where I live, it doesn't spread. It is in the mint family, and it comes back. So it dies back in the winter here and then comes back, but it doesn't really spread here. And I think that's because we don't have the same moisture. So it's not humid, and I don't believe it's humid where she is in Utah. But it is a good cautionary tale for any mint if you're watering anything in the mint family. If you're watering nearby, I mean, it's definitely true with spearmint, because I no longer have a strawberry bed because of spearmint. But that's something where it might be true in one place and not in the other. Yeah, but good warning for those that have that for those that garden in places where it rains. Yeah, drier environments, it's not going to be invasive though. Rose says, yes, I know, but I've not been getting anything from Zach in a while, hun. Yeah, he's been really busy. I know he's been busy in the barn a lot. He added some new colors this year, and he added some new like a whole new he increased his numbers this year. So I know he's been busy a lot. Hopefully he'll be putting together some videos. I know he has some ideas for a lot of videos that he's plans on doing soon. So he'll come back. Don't worry. Dawn says, I planted 18 to 20 lemon balm plants and not one single one lived. Well, it might freeze too hard where you are too. I have no idea if it's an annual where it freezes hard or not. Here it comes back. It dies back and then it comes back. But I don't know where it actually freezes, like the ground freezes. It might be an annual. Yeah. So Baseplace says, Rose, he has been off for a few weeks. Yeah. Kelly says, I'm in the SLC, Salt Lake City area, so not super mountainy. Okay, I can do that with the shady areas under my apricot tree. Yep, and that's where I see it. Like, so it has naturalized, not necessarily, well, yeah, I see it sometimes here, like I said, in the one place in my yard where I planted it, and the seeds always go in my neighbor's yard, but she waters that area. You don't really see it in this town a whole lot. Where we see it more is over towards the coast, where it gets more fog, and it's literally underneath the oak trees and underneath the like on the edges near where they get some light and some shade. So that's where I've seen it totally and completely naturalize, is in those areas that have a little bit more moisture and a little bit more shade. So we're talking about nasturtium, if anybody's jumping in here, which is an edible flower. You can eat the flower and the leaves. It has really, really good properties. Yeah. Gidrose says, calendula, just treat like any other easy flower seed. Not sure on the rest. Yeah, the only thing about calendula that I know of is that if you want it to reseed in your yard, it needs to have bare soil. It can't deal with things like wood chips. That's something that I learned in my yard because I had it and it was reseeding, and then I put wood chips in. That's the only plant that I wanted, the only plant that wasn't a weed that didn't really appreciate the wood chips. And in my neighbor's yard, she grows it and it reseeds in her yard all the time. She doesn't have wood chips. So, yeah. Oh, Dawn, that's terrible. Uh-oh. Did I miss something? Or did we already talk about it? I don't know. Hopefully it's not too terrible. Steve says, we know, Rose, we've been suffering separation anxiety as well. I know, that's why I asked him how he was doing. Guido says my lemon balm plant is like 5 years old. Yeah, mine, I don't even know how old it is. It might be almost 10 years old. Because the first plant I planted on this property was the two. I had two like little, I guess it was 4-inch pots of the hot and spicy oregano, and it's still growing. And then the lemon balm, I might have planted that year and the next year, but literally I had these plants. I'm like, I want that, and I came home. I'm like, I am literally ripping up the front yard to plant things because it was topiary shrubs in my front yard. Is what it was, topiary shrubs with lava rock, with plastic underneath 4 inches of lava rock. That's what the front yard was before I got to it. So I borrowed my neighbor's rototiller. I got all the roots out. I got all, it was so compacted and lifeless from being under plastic for who knows how long. Yeah, so I had put this little side strip that had some plants, and I'm like, okay, you're going there. And I watered it for a little bit, and I know I don't water anymore. I think it gets some water from my neighbor's yard, but you just moisture wise. But yeah. Kelly says lavender also seems to be dumb when starting from seed. I've never started lavender from seed. Living Traditions Homestead just did a video. Living Traditions Homestead just did a video. I want to say it was last week or like this past week. I would check them out, and she actually has a PDF on their Etsy store that has like very specific things for starting things like that. And I know that she started lavender. The lavender that I have in my yard actually used to be my neighbor's. She used to have it down next to the driveway. And she's like, I can't open the car door anymore. I'm going to get rid of it, but I don't want to get rid of it. I'm like, it's rooted on my side of the fence anyway. Just shave off your side and we'll still have flowers. And that's what she did. And we still have flowers. So I know that it roots well. Have a PDF. It's $2. I got it. But it's $2 off of their Etsy. So I would suggest that to you, Kelly. Because I have no experience with lavender except for it rooting in my yard. Aaron agrees with Verna on lemon balm will spread and regrow. Yep. And again, that's you. Aaron lives in Louisiana, an area that has moisture. Where Kelly and I live, we have all that moisture and it does not spread. If you're not watering it, it won't spread. If you water it, it might spread. I don't water mine. Which if you don't water your herbs, you're going to have, okay, let me back up. Water your herbs enough for it to live, right? But the more water you put on your herbs, the less, I don't remember what they're called, but the flavor is going to be better. And those compounds are going to be stronger that are good for your health and good for, the good things of the plant are going to be stronger if you harvest not after you water. So if you're going to harvest, maybe don't water it for a few days and then harvest, and it'll be stronger, a stronger flavor in there. So I hope that made sense. Vase Place says, yep, once it comes up, it will also keep returning. So that's the lemon balm. And it freezes hard where you are. So that's good to know. Yeah, Rose, it's not just you. It's all of us. We're all checking in on him. He's doing okay. Nope. Dawn says he jumped. Oh my gosh, you guys jumped. I gotta find you guys. All right. Dawn says, I have another dozen to a farmer friend, and his didn't grow either. I had them in the garden in big pots, both too. Interesting. I wonder, and you had it in the pots, not just the ground. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. Aaron says, it sure sounds like Kelly is having spring fever like the rest of us. I'm so ready to plant. Yep. Yep. Okay, so Vase Place says lavender needs scored. Yeah, so I think that's like the sandpaper. You can just have the seed coat. Basically, it opens the seed coat. Good tip, Myrna. Dawn's asking Gidros, is your lemon balm plant in the ground or a pot inside the house? Yeah, Rose. Okay, Mrs. Help. Yeah, and I mean, we're always, a lot of us on this chat, we raise quail. And we can answer a lot of those questions. And you're always welcome to ask any of these questions. I know I have a Facebook group for Facebook. I don't actually know if you guys can post. Somebody try and post on the Facebook for Sow and Tare and tell me if it works. But we also have, there's all the quail groups for Facebook. If you're on Facebook, there's the Newbie Quail Lovers is a good one. We have Self-Sufficient Quail, Quail for Profit. There's Quail in the Kitchen, Lifestyle Quail Lifestyle. What was it called, Steve? Yeah, so if you're on Facebook, those things can help you. If not, you can always comment on one of my videos. Like if you comment on a quail video, I see that, and I can help out as well. Or if you have questions now, definitely ask. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, he's definitely the expert. And Gidro says they have lemon balm outdoors in the something. You guys keep jumping. You guys keep typing. Typity. In the herb bed. Yeah, and Steve says we're here for you too, Rose. Yep. Vase says the same thing. It's a good community. Good community. I have no idea what that means when scoring. It basically, what I would do is I would just take a sandpaper to it and go like that. But honestly, if you look up Living Traditions Homestead, she actually sells them at farmers markets, herbs. So she's very experienced at starting herbs. So I would definitely take her recommendations on that. And she has a good spreadsheet that I think you would find helpful. Yeah, scoring is just like cutting a little bit. So you're not going to be like cutting in half. It's just the seed coat just needs to be roughed up a little bit. Yeah. No one goes on an adventure alone. Yep. That's right, Steve. Vase Place says slight cut in seed coat. Yep. Rose, yes, me too. I'm in Warm Springs. Is that Arizona? Warm Springs, Arizona. I like Arizona. It is also dry though. I grew up in high desert, so I'm a high desert person, but I don't live in high desert right now. Feather Connections, Kelly. We have thornless blackberries that went crazy in the yard near the fruit tree. What plant would be good to grow near or around those? Don't want to plant something like mint or lemon balm. So one warning for you, that might squash it out. One warning for you, Kelly, is the thornless blackberries. If you let their go bad or whatever, or they dry up and they fall, you pick them and they fall down and you can't find them. When those resprout, they're not going to be thornless. So just be aware of that. If you have things sprouting up right now and you don't want thorns, to get to them really, really early, because otherwise that root is going to take hold, and your thornless blackberry patch is going to have thorns. So honestly, I don't have anything underneath mine, my blackberries, but you said it's under a what? It's under a fruit tree, or it's near a fruit tree? I mean, you can grow something up it. I don't know how you have it. Because mine I have woven through a cattle panel, so it's more of a vertical, kind of falling vertical structure like this. And so it's a little bit more controlled, although I didn't quite weave it nicely this year. If you have it that way, you can grow things like peas. I didn't even think about this until you asked the question, but you can grow things like peas up it right now, so that it's before it's leafed out all the way. You could have some sort of growing crop, and then that would die out in your heat. I don't know. That's what I would maybe try that, but I know in nature there's not much under blackberries. It's pretty much just blackberries. Yeah, maybe use it as a trellis when it's dormant, and then when it's not dormant, you probably don't need another companion for it. Don says the only one I have, since there are so many combinations of flours to make up gluten-free flour, use xanthan gum to replace the gluten. Okay. The other ideas would depend on what flours you use. Good. Katrina, your Wi-Fi loves you tonight. Am I glitching, or am I smooth? I don't know what that means, Verna. Hopefully it's good. It's kind of funny because every time it seems to be slow or glitching or something, when there's a replay, it seems to take care of all of that. So I'm not sure how that works, but hopefully it's doing good. Hey, Ed's here. Hi, everyone. I'm watching Anime with a Wife, so just dropped in to give my thumbs up and say hi. Hi, Ed. I got your package. I haven't opened it yet. I was going to open it. You guys want to see what Ed got me? Oh, it's not over there. It's over here. So I have to ask. Sorry, loud noises. I have to ask someone who is experienced with these to see if they prefer this or a knife. A while ago, we were talking about grafting knives and a knife. And my goodness, this is huge. Wow, this is a big. He sent me this. It's a grafting. I haven't played with it, so I don't know how it works yet. But he told me what it was. I'm gonna have to try it though and see how it works. It looks beefy, and a little screwdriver. And I don't know what this is. This must be tape, maybe. And I don't know what this is either. But I'll have to try this. And I also want to ask some people that, because I know some people that have orchards and stuff. And one of the people I know he does everything with a knife. So I'd be interested to hear what his opinion is on that, which is a pretty cool thing. I'll try it and I'll tell you what I think. Thank you, Ed. Kelly says, what type of fencing should I put that's really freaking easy to assemble to keep the chickens out of my garden beds? Oh my gosh, that's a good question. I have my chickens in a racking house, which is chickens and rabbits, basically an aviary. If you have them free ranging, that's going to be an interesting story. I don't know. Chicken wire, maybe. Let's think about that. They scratch, so they're going to scratch anything you put in. So you probably just need to maybe do like a hoop. You know how they make that for those frost hoops? Maybe try that until they get started. I don't know. Does anybody have any experience with free range chickens and gardening? I don't have that experience, but that's what I would do. Maybe is just to start them and maybe have a hoop with chicken wire or something. You do have questions tonight, Kelly. Dawn says I have quail poo in the outdoor walker that I'll be taking. If they look down by the tires, it's their problem. My good one stays inside. Yeah, so your outdoor walker to your appointment, you mean? Yeah, that's pretty funny. Quail poo just proves you are a quail mama, Vase Play says. Yes. Okay, so Steve's responding to Kelly. Homestead Premier One fence is pre-assembled. You don't have to electrify it for the kiddos' sake. I know nothing about that. Steve recommends it. Dawn says, oh, question on incubating eggs. My quail lay them in pine shavings, and sometimes microscopic pieces stick hard on the shells. If I miss one, will it affect the egg? I don't think so. I try and rub stuff off of like, so when you're incubating, you obviously don't want to affect the bloom, right? And if there's a dirty egg, I just don't use it. I if it has just a little bit of stuff on it, I might rub it a little bit just to kind of get that off. Just with my hands, not with like a scrubber. And if it doesn't come off with my hands, I don't include it in the batch. I wouldn't think it would affect anything, but I mean, unless it brought in bacteria that was on it. But yeah, when in doubt, I would leave it out. But I don't know how big a piece you're talking about or anything. But the eggs don't have to be completely clean going in. If you want, it's preferable for them to be, free of poop and debris and stuff like that. But I know people have sprayed the eggs like when they're waiting, not when they're actually incubating, but when they're waiting, they've sprayed the eggs with half Listerine, the gold Listerine, and half water, and that supposedly was helping to kind of kill any bacteria that was on it. But I know that Zach had said that Zach with My Shire Farm had said that he didn't really see much of a difference between doing that and not doing it. So I honestly, if you have enough eggs, I would leave it out. Hello. If not, I would, you can try it, see what happens. Let us know if you do that. Dawn says, I think if we keep quail, the poo is natural. Yep. Yep. Oh boy. Dawn says, I started echinacea from seed 14 years ago, planted in my daughter's yard and 2 in mine. Both of mine are still alive. I just followed the seed packet. Yeah, you also live, Dawn, in an area that coneflower, which is what echinacea is a natural plant there. So I think you're going to have a better time if you germinate it in the ground. I think you're probably going to have an easier time germinating it than in a dry climate. Because I know coneflower is all throughout the Midwestern prairie. Even if it's not purple coneflower, there are different coneflowers. But yeah, that's great that it's 14 years old. That's awesome. I have some in my yard, but I mean, I haven't done anything with it. I wanted to seed, and I wanted to see if it would self-seed. And I did have one seed grow that was still in the cone, but I think it's probably passed by now because it didn't go on the soil. Yeah. Vaseplay says if you use foil or a light tray over the seeds when they germinate, they will lift the lid up. Yep. Feather Connection says, I didn't know the humidity thing, but it's so dry here. I think that's the issue. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, the humidity dome is important when you're not in a humid area because those seeds are so delicate and they can dry out so fast. Yeah, it's important. And Steve says Sarah at Living Traditions just did a video recently on starting various herb seeds. Yeah, I said that earlier. I think I'm way behind. Yeah, definitely look it up. Yeah, go ahead, Dawn. You can private message me on Facebook. That's fine. Vaseplay says I just use the same dough I make bread to make pizza dough. Yep. The thing about the pizza dough recipe that I have, it's only a 10-minute rise, which is nice. It's not a long extended thing, and it works really well. Yeah. Feather Connection says my hubby is doing the do-it-yourself incubator build from YouTube today, using it just as a hatcher so we can hatch weekly or bi-weekly. Wow. We are booked out starting February 20 weekly until March 13th. That is so awesome, Kelly. That is awesome. Awesome. Huge blessing, but it's a lot. Yeah. I know. I'm feeling like I have a lot of things going on too. Base Place says lemon balm doesn't spread much, but does keep coming back. That's good. That is great, Kelly. Hopefully I'll be starting next month. Awesome, Verna. Yeah, so we're talking about the Hatching at Home program. I also signed up for that. I am going through my business. I'm going through trying to figure out what kind of business license type thing I need. And people keep telling me to ask my tax preparer. Well, I am my tax preparer, so that's not a helpful answer. So I guess I need to talk to a tax preparer because I just want to figure things out now, have a base, and then build on that. So, yeah, it's not a helpful answer though when I do my own taxes. Oh, you got two people who ordered from you Saturday. Wow, Kelly, that's good. That's good. Kelly's another question. Uh-oh. What about Love Lies Bleeding Amaranth? That plant kicked my butt. I finally, after 2 years, got one to grow huge. Then chickens took it down during lunch one day. I don't know. I have amaranth seeds and I have not grown them yet. I do know that if you're growing amaranth, you should grow one type if you're saving seeds because they do cross pollinate. That's what I know about amaranth. Let us know when you find out, Kelly. Space says, so Kelly, you said the chickens stole their food before you're ready to harvest it. Yep, exactly. Literally, oh, you were growing it for them, but they took it down. Well, I guess that's okay. All right, so Base Place put on the link for Living Traditions video that I mentioned. Awesome. Herbs like mistreatment, lol, always harvest them in the morning when the dew is on the leaves, Base Place says. Yeah, so basically a lot of the herbs like to be cut. And that's why they're basically you can have them as cut and come again. You cut it, you use your herbs or you dry it or whatever, you give it away or whatever, then you can cut it again later, in a couple weeks or however fast that particular plant grows. And you can actually, I've dried so much and have them in mason jars that are sealed, and they like to be cut, and then they respond faster, and then it also increases the amount of flavors because those flavors are supposed to keep animals from munching on them. But we munch on them because they have those flavors. Yeah. Rose says, okay, waiting on him. Well, I hope he gets back to you soon. If you haven't texted him recently, I would text him. Feather Connection says, there's a Sow and Tare Facebook group. How did I not know? Right now, I don't know how I set it up because I set it up a while ago and it's literally me just posting videos and things. But I want to be able to have people talk about stuff, and I have not looked into how to change those settings. So yeah, Feather Connection, see if you can post on my my Sow and Tare Facebook page. See if you're able to post that. I don't know. I don't think I have a group thing yet, but I want to. It's in the plans. Yeah. Quail Lifestyle. That's the other name. Thank you, Steve. And then Verna put all the quail groups there. So hopefully that's helpful to everyone. And Rose is in Arkansas at the Missouri state line. Awesome. Kelly says, oh, wow, really? That's so good to know. It's my mother-in-law's. yard. I'll let her know. I don't know what we're letting her know about yet because I'm so far glitching. Uh-oh. Sorry. Hopefully it's not glitching everywhere. I just have to watch the replay. Hopefully it's not bad. Yes, what did Ed send you? I already showed it. I'm going to see if you guys talk about it. Grafting tape. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, it's a grafter. It's a grafter. It like makes a puzzle piece. I've seen them before. I just know that I know about it, and I know a lot of people just use their grafting knife. So we'll see how it works. We'll try it out. Yeah. Lots of glitching. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. No one else is on the internet here. And I'm Silicon Valley. We should not have glitches in our internet. Maybe there was a solar flare. Actually, there was a solar flare. I don't know if it got here yet or not. Don says, I have my yard fenced in, but rabbits get in. I had to fence the whole garden off with chicken wire. Wow. Feather Connection says, I'm on the computer so I can type faster, but the kids are quiet for a sec, so I ask my questions. That's all right. Don says, rabbit take refuge in my fenced yard, so there is overabundance of them. I had to fence the garden up from the rabbits. Maybe it's time to start harvesting the rabbits, Don. Yeah. Okay. So Kelly's talking with Steve about the electric fence. I'll let you guys talk because I'm a little behind. Yeah. So I did want to talk about my topic of the day. We're talking about herbs a lot, which is really great. My topic of the day was going to be having a variety of things in your yard to attract pollinators. So if you guys saw my video from today, then you'll see that I had the yarrows coming up and it's starting to bloom, but I left those stems, those dead stems with the flower heads on them. I left them there. I did take them down now, but I leave those types of things up over winter and into spring for the sole purpose of supporting the good bugs in the yard. So whether it is a hoverfly that wants to come in and land on those flat flower landing pads, they're very attracted to those. Or if it's the hollow stems that some of the predators, insect predators, live in, they take refuge in for the winter time, and they kind of go dormant like. So I like to leave those, and then now when things are starting to come back up, I just break them and leave them in the yard. Because if you take that and you put it in your compost bin or in your yard waste bin, it goes off the property and you're losing all that good material and the good bugs potentially. If you put it in the compost bin, you're moving those insects from an area that they lived in to another part of your yard, which may or may not be a good thing. But if you have the predators that those are host plants of, like I know ladybugs also love yarrow. Ladybugs love, they actually really liked the asparagus a couple years ago once it had ferned out as a host plant. Marjoram, they've used that as a host plant. So it's important to leave some of that dead material there so that you have those types of animals, insects there, so that if you have things like aphids or cabbage moths or something like that come into your yard, that you do have those predators already there. So that's my tip. I'm going to make it short though, because we had a lot of stuff to go through. And if you got questions on that or comments, then that's good. All right. Dry towel to wipe off the eggs. Yeah. So Vase Place is talking about the, I think it was Don's question with the wood chip or something that's on the egg to use a dry cloth. And it's important that it's dry, because if it's wet, then you can wash off the bloom. So yeah, instead of using your hand, you could use a dry cloth. That would work. It won't fry the bantams, but it will give them a slight shock to stay away. Well, yeah, you might know. Oh, Rose says, okay, hun, let him know that another of us miss him. I'll let him know. He is told, Rose. Bay's Place says she must have given the message. Okay, what kind of food per cent number? I've been using laying pellet 18. I don't know. Oh, 18%. Yeah, so if you have adults, that is completely fine. The crumble is what I use when I have adult quail, and I use the I think it's 16% layer crumble. If they're eating pellets, that's fine to have them eat pellets. They can be pretty big, and if you're then that's fine. I know it's so funny because all crumble is crumbled up pellets. So sometimes in the crumble you'll see a pellet, and I have mine in the aviary, and it's so funny because when they find a pellet, they get super excited and run off with it, kind of like a chicken with a big dragonfly, and run off with it to love it, all to themselves. So yeah, so if they're eating that, then that sounds fine for adults. For the young, which is hatching all the way through week 8, I do a turkey starter, which is 27% protein. And there's different starters. There's game bird starter. There's turkey starter, something that has a higher level of protein than like a regular chick starter, which is for chickens. Because they do need that extra protein. So if you can find that, best for 0 to 8 weeks through 8 weeks old, and then after that, your layer at 18% is fine. Yeah, that sounds good. All right, you guys jumped again. Thanks, everyone, but I don't think this feed is working on mine. No. Oh, Arkansas. Okay. Try a crumble. If you can get hold of a crumble, try a crumble. And you can look up on Zach's channel, on the My Shire Farm channel. If you look up, go to his channel and look up, and maybe Vase Place, can you if you haven't already, can you put up a link for her? The feed video. If you just type in My Shire feed, there's a feed video in there, and he shows the nutrients on the tag that's needed, and there's a range that you can go through, and you can bring that to your local feed store and give that to them. Say, hey, I need this, and they should be able to. They might not have exactly that, but they should be able to get you something close. Yeah, I think that's what she's taught. Vase Place. You may have already done that. So if she doesn't do that, I'll find it for you. Hey, the Steve B333 is here. Welcome. How is your egg production? Big conspiracy about feed. Sorry if you talked about this already. We have not talked about this already. My egg production is fine. I have some girls who are just starting to lay, so they're a little, always a little wonky. They don't always lay for that. And then I have some older girls, so that's the other end of that. Right now I have a lot of molting females. So when they molt, they don't lay usually. So I don't have full egg production, but that's to be expected. So things that can affect your egg production are light. So if they're not getting enough light, then that's one big thing. If you have a severe weather change, so like it got really cold really fast, it was earlier, like last month sometime, and they just kind of weren't on their game for a little bit. It could affect them for like 2 or 3 weeks. It didn't this time. It just did it for a few days. But when there's a big big change, like sudden change, that can affect it. Mine are outside, so if yours are inside, that's going to be different. They might not have the effect the same way. Mine are in the aviary. And then changes of things, any big change will also can affect that. So if there's a predator around, even if they didn't get in, maybe there's a neighborhood cat by and that scares them, that can also do that. And so it's important to note that if something happens today, you may not see that effect for a day or two because they already have an egg that's working its way through the process. So it might be hard to pinpoint what might have stopped them from laying. So I think I already said light, right? So light is another thing. I have not looked. I know there is this conspiracy about the feed. I have no idea about any of that. I have not looked into that feed specifically. I don't use that feed. But I know that it kind of came out about the time that the light goes below 16 hours. And a lot of times, especially for chickens, a lot of chickens will actually lay through their first year. And then the second year, they don't lay through the winter. And we had our chickens, well, one of our chickens laid entirely through her first year. The other two chicks, was we three, laid most of the way through their first year. And then this year, they all stopped. We have one that's picked up laying again, one that laid pretty late and then picked up laying pretty early. So I think that there's a lot of people this is my uninformed answer. I think that there are a lot of people that are getting into, mostly chickens is where we're seeing this come up. And a young chicken is going to lay the first year, probably through the winter, especially if they get them as spring and they start laying, late summer into the fall. And then all of a sudden they stop laying. And people say, well, why did they stop laying? And these are people that haven't researched, why that might happen. And they blame it on this, that, and the other. And this time it is feed that they're blaming it on. That doesn't mean that there isn't a real issue. That's just my answer. And I think it's probably people that are experiencing that second year of having chickens and having them not lay in the winter. So like I said, I have not looked into the feed at all because it's not the feed that I use and it's not affecting me. And I think there's reasonable, description of what could be going on. So there you go. Here's my answer. Base Play says, Rose, if your birds are getting the right amount of light and stop laying with the feed suddenly, cook up some rice and lentils together, let it cool, and feed to the quail. That might kick them into action. Yeah, I've heard that recently, and I don't know where that originally came from, but I know that people are saying that too. Reason that you cut the herbs when the dew is on is that the heat from the sun didn't have time to expel the oils from them. Yeah. Rose says, okay, I've got light over the area, and it seems that the laying pellets at 18% working on the quail. Is working on your quail or is not? What should you do? Hopefully I've answered the question. If I haven't answered the question, maybe word it a little differently. But I would look at, so the percent of your protein you do want to have for 8 weeks and under, through 8 weeks, you need to have a higher percent, like a turkey feed or like a turkey starter or a game bird starter, that kind of thing. But then like my rate after they've gone through their 8th week, mine are on 16% just regular, chicken layer crumble, and it works great for them. I do offer them it's a limestone grit, they call it bird grit, on the side, and then they also have sand in their sand bath, which they do ingest and use for grit as well. So they do have the chance to have a couple of different calcium sources, both from the sand and from the limestone, to add that. That doesn't necessarily mean, I mean, they just have it free choice. So I guess that's it. Okay. And let me go here. Dawn says, I can't post to your Facebook page, but I can comment on one of your posts. Okay. Yeah, I think it's how I set it up. And I was looking at how to change that the other day and I gave up. If anybody knows how to change it, let me know. Because I do want people to be able to interact, or maybe I'll make another one that is a more interactive one. That might be a better option of a group, and I can do that. All right. Okay, so Base Place says within 3 days of doing the lentils and rice, they'll start laying again. Have you experienced that, Verna? Yeah, I'll give it to them with their feed. Yeah, not instead of feed. Uh-oh, it's getting bad. The thank you for posting the link about feed, Base Place. My buffering is getting bad. I don't know what to do about that. Hopefully it's okay. Are other people having issues with the buffering? Steve says, remember, molting season is starting in various areas. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's part of what mine are going through right now is molting. Yeah. Base Place says, I did research after people complained about Tractor Supply cheap feed that their birds quail. Suddenly, I looked up the research and found those items replace what is missing. Okay, so you're saying there's a nutrient deficiency in there? Yeah, I haven't looked up that, so yeah. Oh, and Verna's jumbo whites weigh 12 ounce at least. How old are they? I know you're doing a test on there. How old are your quail, Verna? All right. For those few people still on, others have said they followed my advice. Within 3 days they started getting eggs in. Cool. So another topic I was going to bring up earlier, but we got into such a discussion, which is good. We like these things. Is I need a name for my little girl for the baby bunny. Start thinking about pasta themed names. She is the child of tortellini and parmesan. The other breeder that we have is Meatball, and the breeder that she is replacing, who passed this summer, is Ziti. So start thinking about names. I want to hear them. Maybe we'll do that next week. Next weekend we will be processing the rabbits. The rabbits that will be processed, we're processing them next weekend. That's the plan. Plans can change, but that is the plan. 8 weeks. Okay, that's pretty good. 12 ounces at 8 weeks. That's really good. That's a quail. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So you guys start thinking about pasta themed names for my baby rabbit girl, and she'll have a name here in a couple weeks. Yeah. All right. It looks like things slowed down. The buffering wasn't too bad, and I hope we got all your questions answered, Rose. Pinwheel. Oh, is it around? I'm sorry. Oh, Pinwheel is the name. I thought you meant the little like loading thing. Pinwheel. All right. We'll have to see what people say. I think what I'm gonna do is next live we'll talk about names for her. You guys that are still on, you'll know what the topic is for next week. All right. Well, I think we are about it. Anybody have any other questions or comments or topics of discussion before we head out? We had some good seafooding and quail discussion today. Shell macaroni. That's a good name. That's a good name. I know. I have to think of all the names. See, when I named the chickens, I wanted them to have dinosaur names because, you know, birds are dinosaurs and that whole thing. And so I just I just typed in dinosaur names and I found a list. I like that one. I like that. Oh, okay. And I knew I wanted Rexy for T-Rex. And so that's Rexy. And that was kind of what I was doing in the names. Is like, it's a name, but it's a dinosaur. And then Smilo I liked, which I did not. That's a good idea, Vase. Place a poll. Once we get a list of names, I can do that. So Smilo is short for Smilodon, which is not a dinosaur, but was on this list of dinosaurs on the internet. And I really should have known it was not a dinosaur. It is a saber-toothed cat. I'm a biologist. I should know these things. But the name was already there, so her name is Smilo. And then looking through and laughing at the name Oviraptor, which sounds so natural to me to say that now as the name of my chicken. And you know, ova is egg, and raptor is, you know, a raptor. And Manuel really liked that name once I explained it to him, why Oviraptor is Oviraptor. So yeah, vermicelli. All right, I think I'm going to do a poll on the community tab. I don't know. Can I do a poll and people can add their own? That's a question because I don't know. I don't know the answer. Yeah, it's either I should do that this week or on Monday we yeah, vermicelli. Cool. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a night. It is time for dinner. And I hope that you guys all have a wonderful week. And I have a wood chip video coming up. And I don't remember what the other one is. Oh, I think I'm going to do the chili from the freezer video. So if you guys saw the video from yesterday, that was the finding what was in my freezer. And I made chili with it. And it was wonderful. It still is because I canned it. And so I think that's going to be a video this week. It might be tomorrow, so we'll see. All right, guys. Have a great night. Thank you for hanging out with me and enjoying and being awesome community chat people. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great night and a great week. We'll see you next time, next Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. All right. Have a good night.